What's that?
We're hot. We are live. Mike will talk about it later.
All right.
So, this is the Bar Down Beauties podcast. I'm Jesse Pierce, writer for NHL.com, Wild.com, proud Matamidi alum. Let's hear it for the Matamidi Zephyrs. Woo woo! Going to the state title tomorrow alongside Kirsten Kroll, my co-host and arena host for the Minnesota Wild. And we have Mike Snee joining us, my very favorite, because he always reminds me how special hockey is in Minnesota.
Is that good?
That is good.
All right.
You know, we got to be romantic about it.
It's nice being somebody's favorite. So I like
Once
that.
in a
Thanks
while.
for that role.
You're welcome. You're welcome. No, Mike, I mean, again, we're out here at the state tournament. It is day 3 now on Friday. You know, there's something there's no other word to describe it but special. And I think a lot of times us Minnesotans take it for granted as to how special it truly is. If you could sum it up in 10 words, hockey in Minnesota, 10 words or less, go.
Affordable, accessible, inspirational, community, successful.
Yeah.
I like
Is
that.
How many words was that?
I think it was 5,
Was
but
that 5?
I
I
mean,
got 5 more to go.
Ryan Carter in the house as well. He's
Yeah.
supposed to stop by later. Sup, Carts?
I might.
I like his shoes. Sorry. Side
Fancy.
note.
Look at that. Styling
Nope.
is all. Got the orange kicks on for the Bears, who are not in the tournament, unless I checked. But Matamidi, moving on. Just kidding. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, you had mentioned affordable, which I think is something that doesn't usually work hand in hand with hockey alongside most things. But I think that's one aspect, again, that is so overlooked here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Comparatively, it is incredibly affordable.
Yeah, I would say that's a great word, comparatively, or you know, within context, relative to what other people outside of Minnesota have to pay to play hockey. And then within Minnesota, you know, you can pay a lot more if you want to do that, but you certainly don't have to do that. And the fact is that based on community-owned ice arenas and nonprofit hockey associations and high school teams, it's so subsidized by the government. And so I like, as a little joke, you know, it's called the state of hockey, and I like to call it the people's state of hockey, because it is you know, the taxpayers subsidize the sport of hockey in Minnesota, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
You keep mentioning the word community, and
Yeah.
as evident here at the state tournament, how important community is. I know I spoke with Pat Micheletti about this as well. Like, the state tournament isn't just about your school. It isn't just about the high school that you're a part of. It is about the entire community. You're seeing all of Matamidi out here. I'm repping the Letterman jacket, right? You're seeing all of Andover, all of Minnetonka. I mean, really,
Jesse's been making friends with everyone from Matamidi
Yes.
here today.
I'm not
so
surprised.
yes.
We shouldn't
exactly.
be.
I've known Jesse for a long time, so I'm not surprised by that. But I'd say 2 pieces on the community on the community thing is, one is, and you said earlier that we take it for granted, and we do, but I don't blame anybody, because I used to take it for granted only because I didn't know. I didn't know that that is the only way they do it here. And how I try to explain it to people elsewhere that don't do their hockey like they do in Minnesota, because elsewhere it is not about community. It's the furthest thing from community. I say, well, how do you do your football in your state? Well, you play football for your little town, and then you play for your high school and Friday nights and whatever. And I say, that's exactly our hockey.
Right.
Okay, so it's not really that novel of a concept. It's novel to most people in hockey outside of Minnesota, but it's not a novel concept when you ask them how they do their football. Okay,
Right.
so I don't blame anybody for taking it for granted, but I hope that more and more people start to realize how special that we have it. But you brought up how many times, like you've heard me say community, or you referenced Pat Micheletti. So after the War Road victory on Wednesday night, did either of you see Carson Pilgrim's post-game interview?
Did not.
Okay, so without even knowing he should say this, the first question was, you know, you're back at the state tournament, tell me about it. And he said, oh, it's just so great coming down here and playing in front of your whole community. That's exactly what he said, okay? Not even realizing, like, hey, that's what I got to say, right? And then the next question was, you know, he had a hat trick and assisted on every goal by Jason Shoggy. He says, boy, you got this great chemistry with Jason, and tell us about that. And he goes, well, you know, we've been playing together since we both learned to walk, you know. So he doesn't realize what he's saying is that, you know, I'm not playing with these different teammates every year and whatever. These are my teammates since day one.
Right.
And so when you say Minnesota hockey in 5 words, Carson basically said it in 2 answers, not even knowing he was saying it, but that's what he was saying. And in the Carson Pilgrims of most other hockey playing places, would not have answered those questions that way.
Right. They don't
know?
have that luxury. They have to go play or they feel
The-
like they have
well,
to go
the system
play
has been
elsewhere.
created there
Right.
to push them away. Whether intentionally or not, that is what they're kind of told, both literally but also subconsciously. That's what they're told to do.
I think it goes to show, too, because even when you're looking at junior hockey, you see players highly skilled, especially once they get to that junior, mainly senior year level, kind of have that internal conflict in Minnesota. They want to go back to their high school team, but they know to take their game to that next level, really, they got to go to juniors. So just even speaking volumes, I think, for those seniors who do return for their final season of high school here.
Yeah, and there's such, from a statistical standpoint, there's a critical mass of number, a scientifically large enough sample size of tons of guys that played their senior year of high school that move on to be high-performing college players and move on to the NHL after. That, I tell you what, you are not only are you not delaying your hockey development by playing not only high school hockey but your senior year of high school. I would say more often than not you're probably helping it, because if you're a high school senior hockey player and you're that good, you're probably the captain. You're probably on the ice for every power play, every penalty kill. If your team has a challenge during the season, it's on you to close the door to the locker room and be the leader. So you're developing these leadership skills. And then depending on what kind of player you are, you're probably playing either Elite League or pre-post USHL. So you're getting this blended schedule where, sometimes you're one of the best and sometimes you're the best, And that's pretty unique as opposed to just having this long schedule of the same thing. And most guys that leave high school early, they may not have much on-ice success. They may have on-ice success, who knows, but they're never the captain. They're never the captain. And if you're a player at that level, you're almost always part of the leadership core of your team. And I don't think I don't think you should skip that opportunity to be the most counted on player on your team.
Yeah, and as you kept going through and talking about that, just the one player who kept coming to my mind, and he was the story of this state tournament last year, Alex Bump, Prior Lake, doing a before and after season in the USHL, and then captain of his team. I think everyone knows the story. What was it? 5 goals, 1 game. Another player, too, who seamlessly has made that transition, didn't lose a step after staying for his final season.
And so look at Alex's season this year in the USHL. Point-a-game player is phenomenal, right? So he goes from being leader, high-impact player to being an impact player again, and not like kind of taking a step back that senior year where now you're, third, fourth line, third pair out of the lineup, never on the ice for a power play or penalty kill, and certainly not the guy that needs to speak up when things might become challenging for the team or whatever that is. And Alex last year played, I'd have to double check. I think he played pre and post. I think I'd have to check. So if you look at his year between regular season and postseason, he probably played 32 or 3 high school games, and then he probably played 20 to 30 junior hockey games. That's pretty attractive.
I mean, the cream always rises. They will find you. If you are going to be good enough, they will find you, right?
So the leading scorer in the state, Tyler Hennon from Kitson County Central, which is up Halleck. Okay, you know about this young?
Yes.
So the unbelievable story. I believe the team doesn't even have a full roster because the city they just don't have enough hockey players. They don't have enough people. He's committed to Augustana. He plays football and baseball and golf. He plays 4 sports. Phenomenal hockey player, leader in everything. But also what gets forgotten too, how many 6, 7, 8-year-olds in Halleck is he inspiring? And everybody wants to be the next him, And I bet those little 6-year-olds, their 2 favorite hockey players are Kirill Kaprizov and Tyler Hennon. And you can't discount that. And then back to the model question, and things that don't get talked about. In most other states where the model is not, kind of spread out, a lot of teams, so on and so on, Tyler Hennon is probably a basketball player or a wrestler.
Right.
If he's in the Halleck of Illinois, the Halleck of Michigan, the Halleck of New York, he's probably he's certainly not playing hockey.
Right. No, I mean, again, we are the Bar Down Beauties podcast. I'm Jessie Pierce, writer for NHL.com, Wild.com, my co-host Kirsten Kroll, in arena host, joined by Mike Snee of College Hockey Inc. Mike, before we let you go, kind of to wrap up this Minnesota model talk, it goes even beyond that for me. I think my favorite thing is talking to the Alex Staylocks, even the Kirill Kaprizovs, who are playing hockey because it's fun. I mean, even at the most elite level with the most elite skill, those players never forgot that hockey is a fun sport. And I think the Minnesota model continues to breed that. I mean, really it does. Like you had mentioned, you're playing with your best friends, the guys that you started playing this game with. I mean, even years past, I know we saw Eric Westrom walk by. I'm sure he still keeps in touch with his old teammates.
Yeah.
I mean, just that component, which again sounds so cliche and so kind of like, oh yeah, that's cute, but it's the truth. I mean, it's something that NHL players carry with them today.
It's. I mean, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but I'm also a coach. Been a coach for almost 20 years, and you're at a lot of wild practices, okay? And I occasionally get to see a wild practice, and something that I always notice there is how often when you're at a wild practice do those guys laugh? How often are they having fun? I mean, these are pro adult hockey players, and yet it has to be fun. And so I try to remind myself of that when I'm out coaching 12-year-olds, that, you know, it's got to be fun for a 26-year-old. It certainly has to be fun for a 12-year-old. So.
Certainly these kids are having fun. You guys can come say hi if you want. Pop on the mic. We have Gabby Hughes joining us, who I know. Hello, shout out. Gabby Hughes will be joining us, who I know is having quite a bit of fun within her hockey career. Another example of the Minnesota model going to work on the girls' side. Mike, always a pleasure. You are the best. Truly
Absolutely.
love everything that you're doing at College Hockey Inc., everything that you've always spouted about Minnesota hockey and the model that it has presented.
Cool. Well, thanks for. I mean, I think you guys are part of that. You know, something like what you do works best in Minnesota because there's all these people that it means so much to them. They probably can't put it into words, but you know, that's your audience, and that's in Minnesota. So, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go State of Hockey. We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, Miss Gabby Hughes will join us. Stay tuned, guys.